Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 805, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbprou.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Leadership Live at 805 Talking Small Business. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier. Excited to be here once again with you, talking about small business. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different. Previously, we've done highlights of different shows and different episodes. But those of you who didn't make it to our Power Breakfast and Conference last week really missed out on a treat. We had some great sessions. We had some great networking. We made some great connections, and we had some great speakers and panels. So what I wanted to do this evening is really share some of the highlights of the speakers and the panels, because they dropped a lot of knowledge that could be helpful for business owners like you in terms of really helping to different strategies for being more successful in your business. So what is the Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference, and why should I care? Great question. So many of you probably know something about it, but just in case you don't, just take a quick minute just to share what the Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference is all about. So let's take a second to do that, and then we'll come back and really talk a little bit about some of the panels, some of the speakers, and share some of their messages. So I'll be right back in a minute, and we'll get started with that. Thanks. If you are looking to increase revenues, improve profitability, and or obtain financing for your business, you need to check out the Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro conferences. My name is Andrew Frazier. One of the things we're here to do is supercharge your day.
Today's Power Breakfast has really been a phenomenal experience. I think it's exactly what business owners need, some true guidance of people who are genuine and really are leading them in the true direction of business growth and expansion.
The Power Breakfast is so important for the entrepreneurial community because it gives the various business people who come together an opportunity to interact and also do some business.
These events, hosted by Andrew Frazier, President and COO of Small Business Like a Pro, will supercharge your day.
Welcome back to Leadership Live at 805 Talking Small Business. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and what we're going to be doing is sharing some highlights of some of the key things that speakers and panelists shared at the most recent Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference. So our initial speaker during the Power Breakfast was John Kennedy. He's the Chief Executive Officer of NJMEP, and he shared a lot of valuable information and insights. Really, a couple key things that he talked about is really manufacturing in New Jersey is a lot different than we would think, and how much of an impact it has and how many opportunities there are in it. But also, he talked about a lot of different other topics, and one of the key things is supply chain. So let's take a look at some of the things he shared about New Jersey manufacturing, as well as some of the things that he's shared about supply chain for businesses. So let's take a look and let's see what he's got to say.
This job, there's actually 51 NEPs across the country. We're not a government agency, but we're a group that exists in every state to work with manufacturers. You probably figure there's what, 200, 500 manufacturers left in New Jersey? How about 10 to 11,000? How about direct employing about 340,000 people? How about an average annual salary of $97,000 a year? Seems like a good career path for a lot of people, yet we have over 40,000 open jobs in manufacturing in New Jersey right now, and almost 900,000 across the country. But why is this? Part of the reason why this is because 30 years ago, again, we decided that manufacturing was dead, and that's all you heard. You heard that pounded. Thank God we didn't do that, because we never would have gotten through the pandemic. I hate to tell you, Amazon doesn't make anything. So when those trucks showed up at your house, somebody made them, maybe in New Jersey manufacturing. Food? Yeah, that's manufacturing. And Scouts Honor, no Keebler else. They sold out years ago, so they're not in business anymore. Point being is that manufacturing is alive and well in New Jersey and in this country. The third quarter of 2021, manufacturing put $2.57 trillion back into our economy. That's a lot of money. Every $1 expended into manufacturing brings us about $2.50 in return. There is no other industry that does that. So what is manufacturing? Well, manufacturing is anything that, creates something. What does that mean? Well, that does mean medical device, pharma. That does mean components for vehicles. That does mean food. Printers are manufacturers. Brewers and wineries are manufacturers. And they all add to our economy, and it's very critical to what we do here in New Jersey. If you add in logistics, if you add in engineering, you're talking about 1.8 million people in the state of New Jersey that make their money and pay their rent and their college tuition for their kids from manufacturing. What you hear is
Okay, great. So definitely a lot of things about manufacturing is way bigger in New Jersey than you would ever think. And John and his organization do great things for manufacturers. So definitely important part of our economy, important part of what we're talking about, and just really understanding the pandemic and how that fits in and how integral it has been to that. But not only that, he talked a little bit about supply chain, which is something that's become an issue throughout the pandemic, and something that everybody has somewhat of an understanding of. And not only that, going forward, supply chain issues can be a big thing for us to undergo. So hear a little bit about what he had to share about supply chain.
Everybody knows supply chain now, right? We know that word. We don't know what it is, but we know that word, and we know that it's a problem. I was just reading that if you took U.S. manufacturing by itself, we'd be the 8th largest economy in the world. That's larger than Russia. Just can't do it. But, when we look at this stuff, there's a lot of facts that support these things. We just don't realize, that it exists out there. My little town of Madison. When I tell people that have lived there all their life that there's 8 manufacturers in the town, they're stunned. Where are they, John? Did you ever go on Sampson Avenue? I live on Sampson Avenue. Did you ever go down his driveway? We don't see them because they're not necessarily what we had in the past. Plus, manufacturers, for the most part, are small companies. 34 person is the average New Jersey manufacturer. 34 people. You say, okay, John, that's something different in the country. No, 33 people is the average in the country. Because we think about the huge companies, we don't think about that word supply chain again. Supply chain is what changes things. And that's what New Jersey is. We are a supply chain state. We make a lot of stuff that goes into things. And that's good for our economy, especially during COVID. Our companies kept putting out and producing things. Everybody had enough to eat. Everybody had enough medicine. We had gasoline manufacturing. We had fresh and clean water manufacturing, chemical. We had all these things, and except for a little bit of a run on toilet paper, which I never understood. I never understood, it was going to snow 3 inches tomorrow, and we had to get milk, bread, and toilet paper. Sorry, I digress.
Okay, so that's a little bit from our featured guest speaker during the Power Breakfast, John Kennedy. Definitely, we have a resource center and resource information so that you can go there and actually see the full edited video of each of our panels and each of our speakers. But that can give you a little bit of a feel for what he shared and what he talked about. But there's plenty more that goes along with that. So thanks again for John, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. He actually had a board meeting for his organization later that day, so he came and hung out with us, even though it was a pretty hectic day for him. So definitely appreciate that and appreciate what he shared. So after the initial Power Breakfast, we had a panel on business financing, and actually I had moderated it. And, we had several panelists from different banks and organizations that participate in the financing process for businesses. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, I just want to share a quick video about the Small Business Pro University, because we do everything here through the university. So let me just share a little bit about it, and then we'll come back and take a look at some of the key highlights from the business financing panel.
Do you own your business, or does it own? Is your business growing? Are you making enough? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to become more successful. Hello. My name is Andrew Frazier, business growth pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University, a self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experience created by more than 20 instructors for business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secret of successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program, or just simply choose that you need. At www.sbpro.com, we will empower you to thrive and not just survive, and make more money in any business environment.
Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05, talking small business. And next, we're going to talk a little bit about the highlights from the business financing panel at the recent Power Breakfast and Conference. I was the moderator, and we talked about how best to access capital in the current environment. So let me do a quick, after a quick introduction to the topic, you'll hear some of the comments and perspectives from the different panelists. So let's take a look at what we got.
And so one of the things that developed over the years working with business owners is really a key thing that can help you prepare for finance. And it's called Pray for Finance. So if you need financing, you need to pray. And not just getting on your knees and praying, but that never hurts. But P is for prepare. Prepare yourself and your business, because a lot of people don't come prepared. R is for research. Who finances the type of business you have? What type of financing do you need? We're going to focus on that today, because these are the people who do that. And that's one of the hardest things as a business owner. You've got a million things to do as a business owner, but you need financing. But what's the right type of financing for you? Who's the best person to go for each? You know, there's all kinds of different financial organizations that finance certain types of businesses, certain stages of business. So as a small business, it can be confusing. But the great thing today is we have someone from each of the different life cycles of where your business is, from startup to middle market to fully banking. So we're going to look at the spectrum, and actually they're seated in that order. So what we're going to start with, I didn't finish the point. So you got research, and then you have assembly. You have to assemble a whole bunch of documents to get financed. But a lot of people never finish turning in all the documents, and that's why they don't get financed. So one of the key things is, it's not like the documents are a secret, and you should already put them together before you even go looking for financing. So, you know, assembling your documentation and getting that together is critical. And then finally is yield. You know, anyone who's gotten a mortgage knows, once you turn in your paperwork, they don't give you your mortgage. They do stuff in between, in terms of underwriting, in terms of due diligence, and checking things out. And during that period, you know, a lot of times you might want to try to expedite it, but that's usually a bad idea, because, you know, they're going to go at the pace they're going to go at. And so you don't want to bother them, because that could potentially make it a longer situation. And also, they may ask you for documents, and you need to turn them around real quickly. So that's what Pray for Financing is. And let's get started talking about research. So can anyone tell me who the most important investor in their business is? Okay, themselves. So how do you get the money to invest in your business? So the team's going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so that's the intro to the business financing panel. So now let's take a look at, you know, if you're a small business getting ready, you know, starting out or under 2 years, you know, there's a good chance that the best financing option for you is actually a microloan. So let's hear from Ellen McHenry from UCEDC, which is a microlender, as she can share some of the insights that could be helpful for you as a small business that's starting out.
So UCEDC is an SBA microlender, and those are dollars from $5,000 to $50,000. So a lot of banks want to see historical financial statements. They are rear view mirror lenders. They're looking at 2 years of previous history, whereas with the microloan program, we can accept forecasts or projections. I'm starting my business next month, and when I open my doors, this is the first month that my income that I think I can have, and for the next 2 years. So we can work on projections. You are borrowing money from us for a number of purposes, whether it be inventory, working capital, just inventory, working capital. It could be maybe refinancing some personal debt, maybe friends and family, maybe your parents gave you some dollars and you want to repay them. Banks typically don't do lending for businesses under 2 years of age, and sometimes they don't do smaller dollar amounts. So the SBA microloan program is that seed capital. That's that cushion to get you started in conjunction with your dollars. We've had small businesses come and they want to rent the lower level of a downtown retail place. So their dollars may go for leasehold improvements, or maybe it's the rent security to get in the door there. So it's in conjunction with your own dollars. You have to have some skin in the game. You have to have at least 10% of your own money. Banks would ask for that too. Maybe they're asking for 20,000 or 20%, excuse me. But don't come to a lender and say, I have no money. You've got to put some of your own money at risk. So the preparation is maybe don't quit your day job, maybe start smaller, or maybe, save some dollars. Talk about praying. How about confession? Be prepared to tell your story. Why you want to do this business? Maybe there's some hiccups that the lender needs to know about, but as an economic development group or a micro lender, we're going to get you ready to go the next step. We're going to help you with possibly putting together a business plan, looking at your projections. Does this business make sense? Get you to understand financial statements so that when you start to grow, we can hand you off and get conventional financing.
Okay, great. So we've got Ellen, who shared a little bit as a microlender. Next, we want to take a look at business relationships. So let's take a look and see what Layla has to share there.
Excellent. So when you start your business, what is one of the first things you need to do? Okay, business plan. Okay. What's research? Okay. But like right when you set up your entity, what's one of the first things you do? Account, because you need to have your financial management in order, and everything needs to go through your bank account. So you need to have a banking relationship and know your bank. So we're going to let Layla talk a little bit about building a relationship with your banker, as well as the first step in financing beyond a micro lender is generally SBA. So Layla, do you want to share a little bit?
So having, just like Andy mentioned it, having that relationship is very important. Look at what happened to us during the COVID transition. A lot of the challenges that we saw is that a lot of the clients that didn't have their finances in place, they were not able to get the grants and all the help that the SBA were given at that time. So when we look at relationship, we want three things. We want every business client should have mentors, just like Andy, should have a really good accountant, an accountant not to help you to get deductions, but to help you to plan for like a 1, 3, 5-year plan, and have a lawyer, because you need to have that in place. Having a lawyer and follow the regulations and everything you have to have, so you have your business in plan. So once you get that in, and the best, one of the most important parts that I forgot about myself is the banker. Having a good banker, because you need to have that person that is going to help you to prepare for the future. Help you. We have clients, and I'm very proud to say that I have so many clients that they just started as a startup clients. I have especially a client that we are doing right now, a commercial pre-financing a 1.2 million commercial loan. Someone that Ellen referred to us, but it's so important to have that relationship with all these people that I just mentioned. When it comes to, of course, when it comes to lending, we want, the bank is going to look at every little thing. So historical financials we are going to ask for every historical financials. But when we look at historical financials, we want to see, and it's very important to see your personal financials as well. A lot of the hiccups that we have in the banking when you're asking for a loan is that a lot of the personal finances are not in place. Believe it or not, one of the biggest challenges we have is the credit. Credit matters. The personal credit matters. Not just because you have a business, it doesn't mean you don't have to take care of your personal credit. So credit matters. So then once, like Ellen mentioned it, once you get to the 2-year, we have a lot of lending products that will help you to continue to help your business to grow. For instance, in M&T, we have a very good program that is, we will give you lending up to $100,000, no financials needed. So that is one of the things. But one of the drivers of this tool is just if you have a credit, a good credit, it's credit driven. So going back, to partnering up with other organizations like UECDC, is that when it comes to for you when you are looking for an expansion or looking for a place, we are going to partner up with organizations to help you to get the lending that you need. And then is when we come to the 504, one of the lending products that Ellen will take more into.
Have a bank account, a business bank account, and you don't let your bank.
Okay. Great. Okay, so that's a little bit more from the business financing panel. We've got a couple more panelists. I just want to share a little bit about each of them, or a little bit from each of them. And if you want to see the whole, recording of them, you can definitely check them out in the resource center that I just put in the chat. But let's take a look at the next panelist, Alex Marion. So let's see. Where's Alex? Okay. All right. So
thank you. So like Andrew was saying, commercial and industrial lending, we really deal with a little bit more businesses that are kind of on the mature spectrum. I think what Ellen said is very important regarding banks always look back. I call ourselves historians a lot of time, because very rarely do we look forward at really the plan of a business or looking forward. It's all about historical data. And obviously, most importantly, historical financial data, because that's really how we're doing risk assessment. That's how we approve loans. And yes, you may have a great story, but the reality is the banks are doing a risk assessment. We're looking at those financials. We're looking how you've been managing your financials, your income, your expenses, and how you've been able to grow your business. And we assess a risk to that, and then that's how we approve a loan. Throughout the life cycle of a business, obviously you're going to have different needs. We've talked about, the startup cycles, the juvenile cycles, and obviously now a little bit more the mature cycle, where you may be ready for a building and preparing for that. I think Layla brought up a good point about working with your accounts and preparing them for the future. As I said, right, banks are always looking in the past. Well, you need to be working with your team about your future, because the future eventually will become the past. And with good preparation, approvals can happen. So if you are telling your account, and right now is the best time of the year, I tell my clients, because you're starting to gather up all that financial data. You're starting to get it ready. And if you know that you have plans for purchasing that building, purchasing that equipment, purchasing those trucks, purchasing those packaging, purchasing inventory. If you are setting yourself up for that and your team knows, your accountant, your banker, right? I always tell the first client, first thing I said, why are you coming to me? Have you spoken to your bank? Your bank that you deal with on a daily basis knows how your money's coming in and out. They have your banking account information. It's very clear as day. And they're going to match it up to your financials. So I always tell people that's where you should start. So again, it's always about the preparation for speaking to the banker, for getting financing, and to make sure that your team is in line with what you're trying to do. And then it makes it so much easier for when you come to a banker or somebody to finance you to actually get it approved.
Great, thanks, Alex. So you've seen a little bit of.
Okay. Great. Okay, so this tells a little bit about business financing, some key strategies for what you may want to focus on. And just want to continue to share one more of our panelists. And the next question we tackled was succession planning and preparing to be able to sell your business. And how do you get it? How can you get it financed and be more prepared to be able to sell it? So let's take a look and see what he has to share.
business owners selling their business. A lot of times, I look at the situation and, I'll say it's a dilemma. And, it's a dilemma in the sense that, a lot of time business owners, it's something that's further down the line, so they're not thinking about it. And, because of that, they'll just let it sit there. And, we get it, as business owners, you're very busy, a lot going on, competitiveness in the market, regulation, all these stuff, but, at New York Life and our advanced planning team, one of the things that we focus on is actually succession planning, continuation planning. And one of the simplest, strategies, that a business owner could actually use, to start taking care of that is putting together what we call a buy-sell agreement in place, and, it's just a formal document that pretty much, outlines, the value of the business, the different parties, the interests, potential buyers, for when you do want to move forward, so, that's something that, we encourage a lot of business owners to set up, to get in place. And, we find that it also, encourage the vitality of the business in terms of its employees, owners, and, creditors as well. So, that's where we'll start a lot when it comes to business owner succession planning, putting together, a buy-sell agreement. And, one of the things that, I've seen in the past where, clients, we actually use that buy-sell agreement. We could use it in conjunction in what we call an executive bonus arrangement plan. And, that's where, let's say, as an owner, you identified a manager or a key employee that, you say, you know what, potentially this is the person that could run the business. You could set them up on an executive bonus plan where, let's say, you're talking numbers, you give them an extra bonus of $50,000 a year for the next 10 years. Now, usually the employer, you have the ability to make the decision to say when they could receive that bonus. Now, let's say 50,000 over the next 10 years. You're looking at $500,000. At 10 years from now, that's when they could, receive that money. Sometimes, those employees, they're able to use that money as a way to start a buyout process of the business. So the buy-sell agreement, I'll say firstly, that's one of the simplest documents, that every business owner should start looking at. And, then, strategies such as executive bonus plans could be helped, to take over a business.
Okay, great. So those are some of the key highlights from the recent conference and from the panel on business financing. So this is the morning we had our keynote, John Kennedy, who you heard a little bit from, as well as our business financing panel. So for the afternoon session, we actually had our lunch keynote speaker was Precious Williams, Precious the Killer Pitchmaster Williams, as well as we had a finance or a digital marketing panel. So where we focused on what you need to know as a business owner about digital marketing. So key things that are important to know, as you know, things have been shifting more and more digital since even before the pandemic, but the pandemic accelerated that. So very important, very great knowledge and information shared by the panelists. But, first let's hear a little bit from Precious Williams. She really brought some energy, brought some valuable insights to during her session. So let's see. For those of you who don't know Precious Williams, her company is Perfect Pitches by Precious, and she's, and actually I'll give you a quick introduction of her, the one that I did on the video. Okay. All right. So let's go with that. Full size.
To the power practice. We've been doing this for over 10 years actually, and we've had over 1,000 attendees and help people get millions of dollars in financing and doing business together. So that's why we have an important networking component and want to make sure people can build relationships. So if you're out there in the live stream, next time we want to see you here, because this is really where the real things happen. But definitely the educational piece is key as well. So that being said, our featured guest speaker this afternoon she's gonna be talking about pitching for profits, and that's really what business is all about. Because if you're not making any profits, why are you in business? And the better you can pitch, the more profitable you're going to be. So we have the killer pitch master. So not just the pitch master, but the killer pitch master. And we're looking forward to her really bringing a tremendous message, and hopefully you'll learn a whole lot and get a lot out of it. So I'd like to introduce Precious Williams, the killer pitch master. This is the first. She's the first previous Power Breakfast attendee who has come back to actually be a speaker. So, definitely she's the first of a lot of good things. So, her business has grown. She's won many competitions, but she's working with a lot of corporations in terms of sales and development and really helping them to sell more and grow. So, I'd like to invite Precious Williams, the killer pitch master, to share a message.
Okay, great. So that was just her entrance, but her message was tremendous. So let's take a look at some of the things she has to say. Okay. Okay.
I'd like to insert to Nicki Minaj's Moment for Life. The reason why, because I'm gonna show y'all how to pitch for profit. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a time where ain't no money coming in for your business. People ain't answering the phone when you call. You looking for dollars and cents in your bank account. It's not there. It's not there. And so with Moment for Life, I want to talk about how you slay Goliath with a sling. And everybody knows that biblical story. But I'm going to share with you how I even got here and how that's going to show you how to pitch for profit. So ladies, it's Valentine's Day. And you finally met the man of your dreams. You know what time it is. It's time to find some sexy lingerie to set the mood off nicely. But you weigh over 200 pounds. What's a big girl in the city supposed to do? Or if anything like me, then you went to Victoria's Secret and you found out they don't even make a bra in your size. So then you went to Ashley Stewart and Lane Bryant and you didn't really like the selection. Finally, as a last resort, you went to Macy's, where your choices are black, beige, and white. Again, what's big girl supposed to do? Well, that's why I created Curvy Girls Lingerie. And Curvy Girls Lingerie with the ultimate shopping experience for full-figure divas and plus-size fashionistas. So let me be clear, because I know y'all got some questions. But there are over 40 million women size 14 or larger in the United States, just like me, and we all want pretty underwear. Some of y'all ain't gonna say nothing, but I'm putting it out there. So I know another question. Where the money reside? Where the money reside? Where the money reside? Where the money reside? Well, in our first 6 months of operations, we crossed 6 figures with our innovative website, www.curvygirlslingerie.com. And girls is with a Z, not an S, because we like to keep it funky and fresh. And then we create our own direct home party sales model. Why not? Why not have them pay us to introduce our lingerie to their network? And then we had the audacity to go on a nationwide tour where we showed our lingerie to communities that would never have contact with us. So what happened next? When I started my company, Curvy Girls Lingerie, I was told I was too fat, too black, and didn't have an Ivy League degree. It didn't matter that I had a law degree and that my English degree is from Spelman College. I think that's straight up Ivy League in my opinion. So when people told me that, and some of y'all know about that family and friends around, see, I didn't have that. I was an attorney who was disgruntled. And people kept saying, just stay being an attorney. And that just didn't work for me. And I was in a red hot love affair with a very famous Hollywood actor, and I was 327 pounds. Get that in your mind, it's a size 28. And so I took what every brick everyone threw at me. And I used it to build an empire no one saw coming. And so when I tell you I'm the killer pitch master, it's because I'm a 13-time national elevator pitch champion. If you can walk into the Shark Tank and have the sharks fold in front of you, you bad. But the reason why I did what I had to do is because when people told women they were too fat, when they told them they're too fat, nobody cares about plus size women. I said, but you're gonna care about full figure divas and plus size fashionistas. I'm telling you, Mark Cuban was like, ooh, I know I likes. So my name is Precious Williams. They call me the female MacGyver of business. You give me 2 toothpicks, it's not a door I can't go through. And I'm the proud founder and CEO of Curvy Girls Lingerie, the ultimate shopping experience for full figure divas and plus size fashionistas.
Okay, great. So that's a little bit from Precious, but we're going to share some other segments from her talk as well. Definitely this next segment, she's going to talk about really, when you're pitching, there's a lot of things that you can say, but what should you say? So let's hear from her a little bit about kind of what should you say when you're pitching and how should you decide upon that.
Stand up, give me the name of your name and the name of your company. Drop it. Okay, and why is it important? Yeah, give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Why is it important?
It's important because you have 30 seconds to make a remark, to make someone interested to hear more.
All right, let's give her another clap for the heavyweight. So the truth is, pitching, like you were saying, it's a short, brief way of introducing you, your product, your brand, your services, anything that you want to get out there that you hope leads closer and closer to the sale, right? So I want to give you another way of looking at a pitch. Who likes to eat in here? I'm gonna raise my hand because y'all already know. Come on, y'all already know how. Y'all already know. I ain't gotta try to front with y'all. I can't front with y'all. So think about the holidays. You're going over somebody's house for the holidays, right? Because I ain't cooking. So as you're going over that house, thinking of food you're gonna have, right? Even if you're vegan, what kind of food are you gonna have? What delicious morsels? It's about to go down. You walk in the house, you're smelling the food. You see your family, your friends, you're having a good time, but you like, I know that food better be right. I know that food better be right. So someone says, it's time for dinner. So now y'all all excited. Y'all got y'all plates. You're going to everything. Just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. What are you picking up and putting on your plate? Just think about it. Somebody yell out what they going to put on their plate. It's the holidays. Okay, and we ain't worried about no calories. We going ham and cheese today. So start putting it on your plate. Now you're sitting down. Look at that plate. That plate represents you, your business, your brand, your network, your friends, everything you put into your career, your life. There's so much on that plate. And as you all say grace, and it's over, now you're about to go in, think of that first fork or spoon that you're putting in and about to put to your mouth. What is it going to be? What's the first thing you'll eat? Okay. I appreciate it. But as you're doing that, remember, think about that plate and the first fork or spoon you put in. That's your pitch. So out of that great big plate of your experiences, your skill set, your talents, and your abilities, the products and services, the books that you have out there, a pitch is a juicy morsel, a taste of more to come. It's supposed to captivate and titillate. It's supposed to make you want a little bit more. It's supposed to give you a little taste. Now you want more of a taste. But too often, when people are pitching, they put everything into it because they think that it's like a verbal explosion. People don't need to know all that. In fact, they're not even entitled to all of that. And that's why when you think of pitching, are you adding too much? Think of you 30 seconds, you still a minute later still talking. Nobody's listening. Nobody is listening. And so when you think about pitching, from the time we move forward, think about, is this a part of the plate? Or is this that juicy morsel to entice them, to attract them, to make them come back for more? So whoever like that macaroni and cheese, whoever want that sweet potato pie, You want them to come back and come back because you're going to get them closer to the sale. Not every pitch ends in a sale right then and there. So don't forget, you got to build relationships. But I want y'all to have that in your mind, the plate to the fork. What's the tastiest thing about your company? What's the tastiest thing you can give them that's going to blow their mind? We talk about hashtag shock and awe, right? So when it comes to pitching, what are the key elements of a basic pitch? What's the key elements? Yes. Excuse me? I'd love for you to stand up. Yes. What are the basic elements of a pitch? No name? Call to action? No, but can I have your first name again? Kevin, first of all, we clap here because I think I heard this is something that I teach my clients to do. Anytime you're blessed with the microphone, anytime you're blessed to ask a question, I need you to drop your name, the name of your company, and what you do. Because you might say something so profound, somebody like, now I know his name, the name of his company, and then you ask the question. That's a blessing. Bless the microphone. Bless it. And then ask your question. Now, like, oh, snap. Everybody, whoever knows me, right, Zoe? Anytime I get the microphone, I'm going off. And then I'm going to, ask the question. I'll ask the question. But you are right. So you're telling people what you do. You are giving them your name, the name of your company. You're giving them what you do, who you serve, right? And you're also giving them a call to action. What do they need to do after hearing you speak? You come holler at them. He said, come holler at them. But they need an email address. They're going to need something. Not email address. They're going to need a website or something. Maybe you have something in your hand. But I love what you said. Go ahead, Kevin. Well, let's talk for Kevin.
Okay. Great. So that's just a few quick highlights of what Precious talked about at the Power Breakfast last week, and definitely well worth checking out the whole thing. Put in the chat a link to the resource center where you can see actually all 3 or all 4 sessions, recordings of all 4, as well as there's a lot of other resources for learning and business there. So definitely invite you to check those out. And then we had our digital marketing panel. So I want to share a little bit about that with you. For the digital marketing panel, we had Jimmy Newsom, and we focused on what every small business owner needs to know about digital marketing. So let's take a look at some of the key highlights from that as well. So let's take a look. Okay.
I think one of the best ways to establish trust is to make sure you're delivering value even before you ask for the sale. And a lot of times we see businesses that are successful at that, they're using content. So they've got a free white paper, a free download. They're giving you some kind of value that answers a question or helps their audience get a small win so that it makes it easier for them to take the next logical step, which is to invest in working with that company.
And when I look at online branding, I look at it from 2 ways. One is the company is a brand, and 2, you are a brand. And when you're able to leverage both of those independently and collectively, you've got yourself a powerful little combination there. When people come to me and they work with me, I always say, first thing I want you to do is I want you to buy your name as a domain. Whether you use it or not, buy it. Because at some point, that's personalized branding. And you can use that in a number of ways. So a strategy that I use, I have a company and I have my website. And sometimes I don't want to drive people to my company. I drive them to my branded website, which allows me to talk about more, to open up the door and then figure out where to funnel that traffic. Sometimes they may go towards my business. Sometimes they may go towards ventures that I have with other individuals. So, there's a bigger play here when we talk about building that online strategy and being able to make sure that you're showing up in the right place. And, one thing that Precious talked about, which is key to marketing, is delivering the right content to the right person in a marketing sense, as from an inbound standpoint, at the right time. So those are the three things: to the right person, deliver the right content to the right person at the right time. And when you're able to do that, you're able to have those conversations with them and deliver the value at the point that they need that value. You know, whether it's at the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, or the bottom of the funnel. So, okay. So let's talk about the next thing. So let's talk about marketing channels. So this one should be kind of fun. What platform should I be on? Should I be on TikTok, Instagram? See, we already know Precious, she's not on TikTok, you know, and I'm going to tell her right now when I get done, I'm going to go and be like, Precious, you need to get on TikTok. Why am I going to tell her that? I don't know why, because she doesn't need to be on TikTok because then her audience is not there. So TikTok is hot, but it's not for everybody. So how do we make that decision on what marketing channels work best for your business?
Okay, so definitely figuring out the right marketing channels are key, and just, you know, like all marketing, it's about your strategy and figuring out where your target market is. So let's hear a little bit more about that from the panelists.
So the first thing I would say is that you have to know your business plan from A to Z, right? If your business plan outlines who your target market is, you can take that and say, okay, my target market are moms, you know, that are 30 to 50, you know, and they love, you know, to be soccer moms, right? And if you know that that is your target market, where do those moms hang out online? Do they hang out in Facebook? Do they hang out in Instagram? Do they hang out in Pinterest? Is there any other social platform that is dedicated for soccer moms that you might have to use in order to create that visibility for yourself, right? You have to know your target market so well that you know where they hang out online. So you put your money wherever, and your content wherever you would get more exposure. People are going to see you in different platforms, but they're not going to be the person you want that it's going to buy from you.
And I like that. And because at the end of the day, Google, let's say Facebook, for example. So Facebook is doing away, and it might be all of them. They're kind of doing away with the cookie, what we call the cookie, and that's how we track people. That's how we understand what they're doing. And so, and when they take that away, you got marketers freaking out because they can't get that data. But if you understand your customer and where they live and where they hang out, then you go there to be a part of the conversation. And your job is not to try to figure out where they're going. Your job is to figure out how can you help them and put in some great content or information or resources. That's an important thing because these marketing is a multi-channel approach. No Facebook ads are gonna get you rich. No Google ads or any other. It has to be a multi-tiered approach.
I love what you said about multi-channel, and one of the buzzwords that you'll hear in marketing is called omnipresence, right? We want to be almost everywhere our audience is. A couple of things to think about with that, though, is you really want to focus on where is your audience buying from? We have an e-commerce customer, and they were trying to run a whole bunch of ads on Facebook for hair products. But most people are not going to type in hair products on Facebook. That's not the search engine that they would use. So to invest a lot of money in Facebook ads was not really working. However, where are people looking for that? They might be looking on YouTube. YouTube is one of the largest search engines, right? Next to Google. So you really have to think about not just where your customers are hanging out now, but where do they buy? I hear a lot of people say, I just want to get my name out there. You want to get your name out there where the people are willing to buy from you and when they are willing to buy from you. And that will help you do a lot.
You have a professional product or service. Probably still the most underutilized platform is LinkedIn. And one of the reasons it is so underutilized is because very few people truly know how to use LinkedIn in a beneficial way. But LinkedIn is special because you have all your target audience there and you can find them. If you have Sales Navigator, you can find exactly by title, by company, by location, your contacts that need to know about your product or service. At the same time, you also have to make sure you can communicate clearly what your product or service is in a way that is going to interest this target audience. Just as Precious said before, you need the right message to the right audience. It's even more important on LinkedIn because people are bombarded with people who are trying to sell things that they're not interested in. And this is really where you need help. Most business owners, most companies need outside help, either somebody to help them figure out what their secret sauce is. Because every one of you has a secret sauce. Every one of you has something special that you do, or if you sell a product or service, you have something unique about that product or service. In my experience, it's rare that people lead with that, right? They mostly talk about the generic version of themselves. They don't talk about what makes their product or service special. And that's what you need to put forth first on LinkedIn, on social media, to get people interested in you.
Thank you. And then
Okay, great. So we had a chance to check out, many of the highlights and key things from the event. So definitely next time, hopefully you'll join us. Our next event is July 29th, and we're going back to Newark, New Jersey. But this is just some brief highlights of some of the key things that were shared by the featured guest speakers as well as the panelists. So I encourage you to check out the full recordings. I have the link in the chat for the resource center. And, as always, we try and keep valuable information to help you be more successful as a business owner. Next week, I'm excited we have Alejandra Giron. And really, we're going to be talking about building your strategy team. Like they mentioned in the last segment, you can't do it yourself and you need help as a business owner. So how do you develop your strategy team, different people that you can collaborate with to really help you be able to develop the best strategy for growing and continuing your business successfully and profitably? So I look forward to talking to Alejandra about that and sharing her expertise in that area. And once again, I hope that you had a great week. I hope that you have a great week this coming week, and encourage you to do some new things, take some chances, some risks, and really go out there and be more successful in business. So what I always say, and what's very true, is at the end of the day, as a business owner, the more you know, the faster your business is going to grow.
Do you own your business?
So definitely keep that in mind, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 805, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at svpro.com.